The text message shouldn't have been inside my folder called Ava Records. That was the first thing that felt wrong. The phone vibrated once against my oak desk, then again, a sharp little buzz that rattled the ceramic mug beside my keyboard. Fresh coffee still carried that dark, bitter smell through my townhouse kitchen, and rain tapped softly against the window over the sink. My fingertips were cold when I reached for the screen, colder than the glass itself. The notification didn't appear at the top where new messages belonged. Instead, it flashed inside the folder where I stored guardianship paperwork, school records, and every document connected to my daughter. For one strange second, I wondered if I'd opened the wrong app. Then I saw Nicole's name. "You're not invited to the wedding. Goodbye, loser." Nothing else. No explanation. No mistake. Just 12 words from my younger sister. The refrigerator hummed behind me. Somewhere upstairs, an air vent clicked open with its usual morning groan. Outside, a delivery truck rolled past the row of brick townhouses, leaving a faint hiss on the wet street. Everything sounded ordinary. Nothing felt ordinary. I stared at the message another few seconds before taking a screenshot. I beat. People think records management is boring until they're desperate to prove something happened. I'm Rachel Monroe, 39 years old. Records and compliance manager at a community college outside Pittsburgh. My entire career revolves around one simple idea. If it isn't documented, sooner or later someone will swear it never happened. Nicole knew that, which meant she probably assumed I'd save her message. I opened the folder, filed the screenshot where it belonged, then typed exactly 3 words. "Enjoy your day. Send." No extra punctuation. No questions. No speech about family. The message showed as delivered almost immediately. My phone rang before I had time to lock the screen. "Mom." Of course. I let it ring twice before answering. "Diane Monroe," I said quietly, reading the caller ID, even though I knew exactly who it was. "Rachel," my mother said. "Don't start." Interesting. Not hello. Not good morning. Not how are you. Just don't start. I leaned back in my chair and looked toward the rain sliding down the kitchen window. "I haven't said anything." "I know how you are," Mom replied. "Nicole deserves one perfect day without unnecessary drama." The word deserved landed harder than the message had. I rested one hand against the warm coffee mug. "What drama?" I asked. Silence. Only for a heartbeat. Then she said, "You know what I mean." "No," I answered. "Actually, I don't." Another pause. "Rachel, what exactly can I ruin if I'm not invited?" The house settled around me with a soft creak. Mom didn't answer. "You can't honestly believe I can destroy a wedding from my own living room. I just don't want any scenes. I won't be there." "I know." "Then why are you calling?" She exhaled sharply. "You've always been difficult when you're hurt." I almost smiled. That sentence had survived decades inside our family. Whenever someone else caused the damage, somehow my reaction became the problem. "I have work this morning," I said. "Is there anything else?" Mom ignored the question. "Nicole finally found someone who loves her. I'm happy for her. Are you?" I just said I was. Another long silence. Something underneath the conversation felt unfinished. Not hidden exactly. Waiting? She changed subjects too quickly. "Did Ava already leave for school?" "No." "You should encourage her to be supportive." "Supportive of what?" "The wedding." She wasn't uninvited. Mom caught herself. I heard it. Barely a breath. Then she said, "That's not what I meant." Except it probably was. The call ended a minute later, with neither of us saying goodbye. I placed the phone face down on the desk and returned to the spreadsheet waiting on my computer. Compliance audits don't stop because families fall apart. 3 faculty certification files needed verification before noon. An accreditation report sat half-finished beside my keyboard. Someone in accounting had forgotten to archive procurement documents again. Normal work. Blessedly normal. Half an hour disappeared into policies, signatures, and document numbers. My shoulders finally loosened as familiar routines took over. A dripping sound pulled me away. The kitchen faucet again. One slow drop. Another. I'd been meaning to replace the washer all week. I shut off my laptop for a few minutes, fetched the small toolbox from the pantry, and slid underneath the sink. Cold metal pressed against my wrist while I loosened the fitting. Simple things calm me. Pipes? Paperwork. Anything that behaves according to rules. Families rarely do. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Nicole. Mom had transferred $50 into my account. The note read, "Lunch for you and Ava." I laughed once. Not because it was funny, because it never changed. Money had always arrived with invisible strings attached. I reversed the transfer without touching the amount. A minute later, she texted, "You don't have to prove anything." I didn't answer. The faucet stopped dripping after I tightened the valve. That felt more satisfying than arguing ever had. Around lunchtime, the front door opened and closed with a familiar thump. "I'm home," Ava called. Kitchen. Sneakers squeaked across the hardwood floor. At 14, she was all elbows, backpacks, and windswept brown hair that refused to stay tied back. She dropped everything beside the island. "You got the seating chart?" I did. Her face tightened. "My name's there." "I expected that." "You aren't." I noticed. She looked at me for several seconds. The girl had inherited Nicole's eyes. Everything else belonged entirely to herself. "Aren't you mad?" I rinsed my hands beneath warm water. Mad won't improve the situation. "It isn't fair." "No." She waited, probably expecting me to say more. Instead, I dried the wrench, returned it to the toolbox, and reached for 2 bowls. Tomato soup always tasted better on rainy afternoons. "Did Nicole text you today?" I asked. A spoon clinked lightly against ceramic. "No." Too fast. Not convincing. I looked up. Ava had already turned her phone face down. The motion lasted less than a second. Enough. Not enough to accuse. Just enough to remember. I set grilled cheese onto her plate. "When was the last time she contacted you?" "A couple days ago." "What about?" "Wedding stuff." "Anything unusual?" She shook her head. "I don't think so." I nodded once. "You remember our rules?" "I know." "Say them anyway." She rolled her eyes with practiced teenage exhaustion. "I don't meet anyone alone." I smiled a little. "Good. I don't keep secrets about where I'm going. And if an adult asks me to hide something from you, I tell you." "Exactly." Her shoulders relaxed. "So you don't think I'm lying?" "I think you're deciding whether you're ready to tell me something." Ava looked down into the soup. Steam drifted upward between us. She stopped. "It's okay. I don't want everyone fighting again." Neither did I. Not because I believed peace was possible. Because I'd spent 14 years cleaning up after every explosion. The afternoon passed quietly. Homework. Laundry. Another hour finishing accreditation paperwork. By evening, the rain had stopped, leaving damp leaves scattered across the sidewalk outside. After Ava went upstairs, I carried a small brass key to the hall closet. Most people would have stored photo albums there. Mine held a fireproof lockbox. The lid opened with a familiar click. Inside rested a court order granting me permanent legal guardianship. Below it lay visitation schedules with dates crossed out one after another. Emails, medical records, school forms, every canceled promise, every signature, every piece of paper someone might someday claim never existed. One envelope smelled faintly of old cardboard and printer toner. Nicole's email from years ago waited inside. "I am not ready to be her mother." I didn't unfold it. Didn't need to. Some sentences stay memorized forever. The box closed. The key turned. For another night, the evidence remained exactly where it belonged. I was halfway upstairs when my phone chimed. An automatics email. Ride confirmation. Pickup scheduled for tomorrow morning. Passenger. Ava Monroe. Pickup location. My home address. Booked by Rachel Monroe. My name sat beneath the booking as neatly as if I had typed it myself. For several seconds, nothing moved except the small blue cursor blinking beside the confirmation number. The house had gone quiet. Ava's shower ran upstairs, water hissing through old pipes, while the furnace breathed warm air through the vent near my feet. Pickup time was 7:15 the next morning. Destination withheld. A line beneath it read, "Special instructions attached." I set the phone on the hall table, unlocked my laptop, and opened the confirmation email on a larger screen. The message had come from a regional car service used for airport trips, corporate pickups, and weddings, not a rideshare. Someone had paid for a scheduled driver. My full name appeared in the customer field. Rachel Monroe. The billing email was hidden behind asterisks. The contact number ended in digits I did not recognize. Ava's name appeared under passenger details, followed by her age. 14. Whoever made the booking had told a transportation company exactly how old she was. Upstairs, the water shut off. I downloaded the confirmation as a file, saved the original email, then took screenshots that included the timestamp and sender information. My hands stayed steady until I reached the note at the bottom. Do not contact household number before arrival. Minor is expected. A cold line moved from the base of my neck to the center of my back. This was not a misunderstanding. Someone expected Ava to walk out of my house without me knowing. I opened the permanent guardianship folder and pulled the court order from its plastic sleeve. Then I found my property tax statement, my driver's license, and the utility bill that showed my name beside the pickup address. The car service's safety number appeared at the bottom of the email. A woman answered after several rings. Passenger safety, this is Marisol. How may I help you? My name is Rachel Monroe, I said. I received a confirmation for a trip I did not book. The passenger is my 14-year-old daughter. Keys clicked on the other end. Do you have the booking number, Miss Monroe? Marisol asked. I read it slowly. More typing followed. I can see the reservation, Marisol said. Before we continue, I need to explain that I cannot provide billing information or make changes without verifying the account holder. That makes sense, I replied. The problem is that the account holder used my name. The typing stopped. Are you saying this may involve identity misuse? I'm saying I did not arrange a driver to collect a minor from my home tomorrow morning. A chair creaked through the phone. Is the minor your legal child? Marisol asked. I have permanent legal guardianship. Can you provide documentation? Yes. Marisol sent a secure upload link while we remained connected. I scanned the court order, my identification, and the document showing that the pickup address belonged to me. Ava's bedroom door opened upstairs. Floorboards shifted above the kitchen. Mom, Ava called. I'm downstairs, I answered. Her footsteps started toward the stairs. Please give me one moment, I told Marisol. I muted the call before Ava entered the kitchen wearing pajama pants and an oversized sweatshirt. Damp hair darkened the fabric around her shoulders. What happened? Ava asked. Sit with me. She glanced at the laptop. The color drained from her lips when she saw the booking confirmation. I didn't order that, Ava said. I know. I swear. I believe you. Her fingers tightened around the back of the chair, but she did not sit. Is that for tomorrow? She asked. Yes. Ava swallowed. Nicole said someone might pick me up. The muted phone felt heavy in my palm. What exactly did she say? Ava looked toward the dark window over the sink. That it was part of the wedding surprise. Did she say I approved it? My daughter rubbed her thumb against a loose thread near her cuff. She said you knew. Did she say why I wasn't going? Ava's gaze dropped. She said you were embarrassed. The refrigerator motor kicked on behind us. I could hear every soft vibration inside the walls. Embarrassed about what? I asked. Ava shook her head. She didn't explain. Not yet. That was what the silence between us seemed to say. I unmuted the call. I'm sorry, I told Marisol. I'm here. I reviewed the documents, Marisol said. The court order lists you as the child's permanent guardian, and the pickup location matches your address. Can you cancel the booking? I cannot cancel a reservation belonging to another account, Marisol explained. What I can do is place it under an immediate safety hold. No vehicle will be dispatched until the account holder verifies identity and provides proof of authorization to transport the minor. That prevents a driver from coming here? Yes, the trip will remain suspended. Please email that confirmation. I will also create an incident record, Marisol said. For privacy reasons, I cannot disclose the payment card or full contact number. I can tell you the secondary contact does not match the number you gave me. Can you tell me whether the note says anything else? Marisol hesitated. I'm permitted to confirm language concerning passenger safety. It says not to contact the household number and that the minor is expected outside. Ava finally sat down. Her knees touched mine beneath the table. Please preserve that note in the incident record, I said. I've already done so. May I have the case number and your full name? Marisol gave me both. I repeated them to make sure I had heard correctly, then wrote the information on a yellow legal pad. Within minutes, the safety hold confirmation arrived. I saved it beside the original booking and copied both files to secure cloud storage. Only after the call ended did I look at Ava again. "You aren't in trouble. I should have told you." "Yes." The word came out quietly, not cruelly. Still, it landed. Ava blinked fast. "I thought maybe Nicole was trying to do something nice," she said. "Maybe she told herself that. That doesn't mean she was." "No." My daughter pulled one sleeve over her hand. She kept saying this wedding was a fresh start. "For whom?" Ava looked at me. There it was. The question Nicole had never answered because the answer had always been Nicole. I turned the laptop so we could both see the confirmation. "When did she first mention the car?" "Last week." "Did she text you?" "Some of it." "May I see?" Ava reached for her phone, then stopped. Her fingers hovered over the screen. I deleted one message. "Why?" "She told me not to let you see it." A hard pressure formed behind my ribs, but I kept my voice level. "Did she threaten you?" "No." "Did she make you feel responsible for what would happen if you refused?" Ava stared at the table. "She said Nathan's family would think I hated her." The kitchen clock clicked into the next minute. "What did she want you to do at the wedding?" I asked. "I don't know everything." "What do you know?" "She said there would be a moment after the ceremony. Cameras. A family announcement." My hand flattened against the tabletop. "What announcement?" "She wouldn't say." That should have been the worst of it. It wasn't. Ava unlocked her phone and opened a conversation thread. Nicole's name filled the top of the screen beside a smiling photo taken at her bridal shower. Several voice notes sat beneath a string of heart emojis. Ava pressed the first one. Nicole's voice floated into the kitchen, warm and careful. "Sweetheart, tomorrow's going to be beautiful. I know Rachel gets uncomfortable when attention isn't on her, but you don't need to worry about that. You're old enough to make your own choices." The message ended. Ava looked at me, waiting for anger. I reached for the legal pad instead. "Play the next one." Nicole's voice returned. "You don't have to lie, sweetheart. Just don't tell Rachel until after the ceremony. Some things are easier once they've already happened." The tiny speaker crackled at the end. Rainwater dripped from the gutter outside. One drop. Then another. "Was there more?" I asked. Ava nodded. The third message began with Nicole laughing softly. "I already told Mom everything. She agrees this is best. Once people see us together, nobody can keep pretending we aren't a family." Ava stopped the recording before it finished. Her thumb shook against the screen. "I didn't answer that one." "You shouldn't answer any more tonight." "Are you going to take my phone?" "No." Confusion crossed her face. "Then what do I do?" "Nothing, don't respond, don't delete anything else." I opened a fresh folder and named it Wedding Contact. Then I showed Ava how to download each voice note without changing the original thread. We saved screenshots that included Nicole's name, the dates, and the times. I did not ask Ava to bait her. Did not tell her to pretend everything was fine. Nicole had already put enough weight on a 14-year-old girl. After the files were secured, I emailed Mara Ellis. Urgent. Possible unauthorized transport of minor and attempted interference with pending adoption matter. Mara had been my attorney for 6 months. One of only 3 people who knew Ava had asked me to begin the adoption process. That list had included Mara, Ava's counselor, and my parents. Nicole knew. Now she knew enough to arrange a car, coach Ava, and plan something involving cameras. My phone lit up on the table. "Mom." I let it ring. A second call followed. Then a text. "Why did you cancel the car?" Ava read it over my shoulder. Neither of us spoke. Another message arrived. Nicole was only trying to include Ava. "You always make everything ugly." The words settled the question I had not wanted to ask. Mom knew about the ride. Possibly more. I forwarded both messages to Mara. A response came less than a minute later. "Do not confront Nicole. Preserve everything. Call me now." Mara answered before the first ring finished. "Tell me where Ava is," the attorney said, sitting beside me. "Is she safe?" "Yes." "Good. Has she agreed to share the messages voluntarily?" "Yes." Ava leaned closer to the phone. "I gave them to her," my daughter said. "She didn't make me." "Thank you, Ava," Mara replied. "That matters." Mara had us walk through the timeline without guessing about anything we could not prove. She asked when Nicole first contacted Ava, who knew about the adoption petition, and whether anyone had permission to pick Ava up. When I mentioned Mom's text, Mara went quiet for a moment. "Rachel, do not ask Ava to continue communicating with Nicole for evidence," she said. "No traps. No leading questions. If Nicole contacts her, save the message and let me know." "Understood. And keep the original booking email. I already preserved it." "I assumed you had." That was as close as Mara came to humor. The doorbell rang. Ava flinched. The security display beside the refrigerator showed my mother standing on the porch beneath the yellow light. Her coat hung open despite the cold. One hand held her purse. The other was already reaching for the bell again. "Mom," Ava whispered. "Go upstairs," I said. "I don't want to leave you." "I'm not opening the door." The bell sounded a second time. Then Mom knocked hard enough to shake the narrow pane of glass beside the frame. "Rachel," Diane called through the door. "I know you're in there." I ended the call with Mara only after promising to contact her again if anything changed. My mother knocked once more. "Open this door," she said. I switched on the porch camera recording and spoke through the intercom. "It's late. We need to discuss what you've done. I placed a fraudulent transportation booking under review. You humiliated Nicole. She booked a car under my name to collect Ava. Don't be dramatic, it was a wedding ride. She told the company not to contact the household." Mom's face tightened on the small screen. "That was because you would have said no." "Correct." The answer stopped her for half a breath. Then Diane stepped closer to the camera. "Nicole is trying to do the right thing for once. By teaching Ava to keep secrets, she is trying to reconnect with her daughter. She can do that through the counselor." "There you go again," Mom said. "Forms, rules, lawyers. You make everything cold. Rules are useful when people ignore the word no." My mother's mouth hardened. "Ava is scared because of you." A floorboard creaked behind me. Ava stood halfway down the stairs. Mom could not see her from the porch. "You need to let Nicole have this chance," Diane continued. "She may never get another." "Another chance to do what?" "To make things right." "At a wedding?" "Yes." "With cameras?" Mom's expression changed. Only slightly. "Enough." Her gaze moved away from the lens. She knew about the cameras. "What exactly is Nicole planning?" I asked. "Nothing that concerns you. It concerns Ava. She is Nicole's child, and I am her legal guardian. You always have to hold that over everyone. The court order isn't a weapon, it's a fact." Mom lowered her voice. "You have no idea what you could destroy." Ava's breathing caught behind me. There it was again. Not what Nicole might destroy. What I might destroy by refusing to cooperate. "Go home," I told my mother. "Rachel, listen to me. Good night." I muted the intercom. Mom remained on the porch for another minute. Her mouth moved, but no sound entered the house. Eventually, she turned and walked toward her car. The red tail lights disappeared beyond the wet trees. Ava came down the remaining stairs. "Mom?" "Yes?" Her face looked younger than 14 under the dim hallway light. "What if Nicole is planning to tell everyone you stole me?" Ava's question stayed between us after the taillights vanished. "What if Nicole is planning to tell everyone you stole me?" The porch light cast a pale rectangle across the floor. My mother had left damp footprints on the brick step, dark marks leading away from the house. And for some reason those prints bothered me more than her words. They would dry by morning. The lie would not. "Come sit down," I said. Ava followed me into the kitchen and curled into the chair she had used since elementary school. Her knees were too long for it now. One foot hooked around the bottom rung, while the other tapped softly against the tile. I brought the lockbox from the hall closet and set it on the table. Metal struck wood with a dull thud. Ava stared at it. "You keep everything in there?" "Everything that matters." The brass key resisted before turning. Old paper and cardboard released a dry smell when I lifted the lid. My daughter reached toward the first folder, then pulled her hand back. "You don't have to show me all of it," Ava said. "I won't." "What if I want to see it?" "Then you choose what we open." Her eyes moved across the labels: medical, school, visitation, guardianship. None of those words belonged in a child's life, but they had lived beside her since infancy. Ava touched the visitation folder. This one. The cover had softened at the corners from years of use. Inside, calendar pages showed dates written in blue ink. Some carried check marks. Most had a single word beside them. Cancelled. No answer. Rescheduled. Nicole had always been good at promising another day. Ava traced one date with her fingertip. This was my 7th birthday. Yes. She said she had the flu. A photograph from that week had appeared online the next morning. Nicole at a rooftop restaurant in Boston, holding a glass beneath strings of white lights. I had printed it but never shown Ava. Not then. What really happened? She asked. She went away with friends. My daughter's finger stopped moving. You knew? I found out afterward. Why didn't you tell me? You were 7. You had already spent the whole evening watching the driveway. The kitchen clock sounded louder than usual. Ava closed the folder. What about when I was born? The question scraped across an old place inside me. I chose the guardianship file. 14 years earlier, Nicole had called from a hospital outside Harrisburg. Her voice had been thin and fast. Rachel, please come before Mom gets here. Ava had been wrapped in a striped receiving blanket when I arrived. Only her nose and one clenched fist showed. Nicole sat upright in bed, staring at the television without watching it. I can't do this, Nicole had whispered. You're exhausted, I told her. No. Her eyes stayed on the screen. I mean any of it. Mom arrived an hour later, carrying coffee and answers for everyone. Rachel can take the baby for a few weeks. Nicole can rest. Nobody needs to know yet. A few weeks became 3 months. Then 6. My daytime classes disappeared first. I registered for evening courses instead, found an entry-level records job, and learned how to warm a bottle while reading policy manuals at 2 in the morning. None of that made me noble. It made me responsible for a baby who needed someone to keep showing up. Did she ever ask for me back? Ava asked. Sometimes. Her gaze lifted. What does that mean? It means she asked when asking cost her nothing. Ava looked down again. The permanent guardianship order sat beneath the temporary papers. Nicole's signature curved across the final page in blue ink. She signed this? Ava asked. Yes. Did you force her? No. Did Mom? No. What did Nicole want? The truth had sharp edges, even after 14 years. She wanted her new boyfriend to believe she didn't have a child. Ava pushed away from the table so quickly the chair legs scraped the floor. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she pressed both hands flat against the counter. I need air. I opened the back door. Cold October wind entered with the smell of wet leaves. Ava stood on the small patio without shoes, breathing through her mouth. I stayed inside. Close enough? Not crowding her. When she returned, her cheeks had gone pink from the cold. There's more, I said. Ava looked at me. You can stop. I don't want to. The email waited near the bottom of the file. I unfolded the printed page and slid it across the table. Nicole's words were short. I am not ready to be her mother. Please stop asking me to pretend. Ava read the sentence twice. Her mouth tightened, but no tears came. Was she talking about me? Yes. Did you answer? I asked her to attend a meeting with the social worker. Did she? No. Ava folded the page carefully along the existing crease. Mom told me you always wanted a baby. She told other people that too. So everyone thought Nicole gave me to you because you wanted me? That was easier for them than saying she left. My daughter sat very still. The truth did not arrive like thunder. It settled quietly, piece by piece, until there was no room left for the old story. Ava reached for her phone. Nicole sent me something yesterday. What? A speech. She opened an attachment I had never seen. The title appeared in large letters. The daughter my sister stole. My skin went cold. Ava scrolled to the last paragraph and turned the screen toward me. One sentence stood alone beneath the rest. Tonight, my daughter is finally coming home. Tonight, my daughter is finally coming home. The sentence stayed on Ava's phone long after the screen should have gone dark. Neither of us reached for it. Outside, wind pushed a handful of wet leaves across the patio. They scraped softly against the concrete before disappearing into the darkness. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked once and fell silent. Ava finally whispered. She already decided what I was going to do. Yes. She never asked me. No. My daughter locked the screen and placed the phone between us. I don't want to go. You don't have to. Another long silence settled over the kitchen. Then my own phone buzzed. Mara. I answered immediately. Mara Ellis speaking, my attorney said. Tell me you and Ava are together. We are. Good. I reviewed everything you sent. Paper rustled on her end. The transportation record, Diane's messages, and Nicole's voice notes all support the same pattern. What pattern? I asked. Preparation. The word landed with surprising weight. Nicole didn't wake up tonight and make one bad decision, Mara continued. Someone has been building this for a while. I looked at the speech still resting on the table. I think you're right. Has anything new happened since we spoke? Ava showed me Nicole's draft speech. What title? I read it aloud. The daughter my sister stole. The line remained quiet for a heartbeat. Then Mara asked, Can Ava confirm Nicole sent it directly to her? Yes, I can. Ava leaned closer to the phone. I still have the original message, she said. Don't delete anything, Mara replied. Don't forward anything else tonight unless I ask. We want every original timestamp preserved. We understand, I said. You also need sleep, Mara added. Tomorrow we'll move quickly. After we ended the call, I gathered every printed document into the lockbox except one. Nicole's speech stayed beside my laptop. Not because I intended to reread it, because something about it felt unfinished. My phone lit up again. An unfamiliar number. For one moment I considered letting it ring. Instead, I answered. This is Rachel. Heavy breathing filled the line. Then an older woman's voice spoke. Rachel? Yes. My name is Judith Calloway, Nicole's future mother-in-law. My pulse slowed instead of racing. Years of working with records had taught me one lesson. Unexpected calls rarely brought good news. I hope I'm not calling too late, Judith said. It's late, I answered carefully. What can I do for you? I need to ask you something. Her voice trembled. Did you really arrange for Ava to come to tomorrow's wedding? I looked across the table at my daughter. No. The answer came without hesitation. I did not. Another long pause. When Judith spoke again, her voice sounded smaller. Then, I think there's something you need to know. Before she could continue, another call interrupted hers. Nicole. Judith stopped speaking. I'm so sorry, she whispered. She's calling me. I'll call you right back. The line went dead. I lowered the phone slowly. Ava searched my face. What did she want? I don't know yet. The kitchen felt strangely still. Then, my screen lit up again. One missed call. Then another. Then another. By the time I set the phone down, Judith Calloway had already called 7 times. The 8th call came before I could set my phone down. Then the 9th. By the time Judith's name filled my screen for the 10th time, the sound itself had changed. It no longer felt like someone trying to reach me. It sounded like someone running out of time. Ava watched every vibration. Answer it, my daughter whispered. I did. Rachel, Judith said before I could speak. Her breathing was uneven, as though she had climbed a flight of stairs. Please don't hang up. I'm listening. I can't explain everything over one call. Then explain what you can. A door closed somewhere behind her. Voices echoed in the distance, too muffled to understand. I found something tonight, Judith said. What? A folder. I waited. It was supposed to be printed for tomorrow. My eyes drifted toward Nicole's speech lying beside my laptop. What kind of folder? Ceremony documents. A chair scraped across a floor on Judith's end. I thought I was helping organize wedding materials. Seating charts, vendor contracts, music lists. And there were other files. My fingers tightened around the phone. What files? A speech. I've already seen that. Silence. You have? My daughter showed it to me. Judith let out a slow breath. Then you know. No, I answered quietly. I know one piece. Another pause followed. I also found transportation paperwork, Judith said. The room seemed to shrink around me. A scheduled car? Yes, I already stopped it. You stopped it? The company placed it under review. Judith said nothing for several seconds. When she spoke again, relief mixed with disbelief. Thank God. What else? There was a photograph release. I frowned. A what? A consent ferme? My heartbeat slowed instead of speeding up. Slow was dangerous. Slow meant my mind had started putting pieces together. For photography? I asked. Yes. For Ava? I believe so. I opened my notebook and wrote 2 words. Photo release. What exactly did it say? I couldn't read every page before. Judith stopped herself. Before what? Nicole walked back into the room. A suitcase rolled across tile somewhere behind her. Voices grew louder. I hid the folder under another stack of papers. You didn't take it? I couldn't. The disappointment barely had time to settle before Judith continued. I took pictures. My pen stopped moving. You photographed the documents? Every page I could. Ava looked at me. I held up one finger, asking for another minute. What else was there? I asked. There was an email. From whom? I don't know. What was it about? Judith lowered her voice. It mentioned your adoption case. Cold spread through my hands. Only a handful of people knew about that petition. I need you to repeat that. The email mentioned adoption. Are you certain? I read it twice because I didn't understand why wedding papers would include family court. I closed my eyes for one brief second. Nicole hadn't been planning a reunion. She had been planning evidence. Rachel? Judith asked softly. I'm here. I believed everything Nicole told us. I figured. She said you were obsessed with keeping Ava away from her. I know. I believe that too. Neither apology nor anger mattered tonight. Only facts. Can you send me those photographs? I asked. I will. Don't edit them. I won't. Don't crop them. I understand. Send every image exactly as your phone saved it. I already locked them. Good. That single word stayed inside my head. Good. Not because things were improving. Because someone besides me had finally started preserving the truth. Just as Judith ended the call, another message arrived. Unknown number. Only one sentence. Tell Rachel she has no idea what tomorrow is really about. The message disappeared almost as quickly as it appeared. Tell Rachel she has no idea what tomorrow is really about. No name. No number I recognized. Only those 11 words. I took a screenshot before anything else. Then another that included the timestamp, the unknown sender, and the lock screen. Habit had become instinct years ago. Ava looked over my shoulder. Was that Nicole? I don't know. But you think it was. I think someone wanted me to read it. That was different. My phone vibrated again. Judith. I answered immediately. Rachel, Judith said. I sent everything. I'm opening it now. 5 photographs arrived through an encrypted link. The first showed Nicole's speech. The second showed a transportation confirmation with Ava's first name visible before another page covered the rest. The third made my stomach tighten. A photo release. Across the top, bold letters read, Event Media Authorization. The signature line was blank. Thank God. Nicole had planned for Ava to sign it after arriving. Not before. The fourth picture showed part of an email. Most of the screen had been cut off because Judith had taken the photograph quickly, but one paragraph remained readable. Video documentation of reunion may support future litigation only if relationship appears genuine. The sentence ended there. Nothing more. Nothing less. A carefully staged reunion. Not for memories. For court? Rachel? Judith asked softly. I'm here. I couldn't get a better picture. You got enough. I wanted to take the laptop. No. Silence. You did the right thing, I continued. If those files disappear tonight, these photographs become even more important. Judith released a slow breath. I kept thinking about Ava. So I have grandchildren, Judith said quietly. No child should walk into something like this without knowing. My eyes stayed on the photograph. Nicole had never planned to surprise guests. She had planned to surprise Ava. Has Nathan seen any of this? I asked. Not yet. Will he? Yes. When? As soon as I can get him alone. The answer sounded honest. Not dramatic. Simply determined. That's enough for tonight, I told her. I'm sorry I believed her. I know. I'll call again if anything changes. After the call ended, I forwarded every image to Mara. Her reply arrived less than 2 minutes later. Excellent preservation. Do not contact Nicole. Short. Direct. Exactly what I expected. Ava sat quietly across from me. She wanted me to sign that? My daughter asked. I believe so. So everyone could record it? Yes. She wrapped both arms around herself. I thought tomorrow was supposed to be about a wedding. So did I. A tear finally slipped down her cheek. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just one silent tear. I kept wondering why she suddenly wanted me there so badly, Ava whispered. I moved beside her and rested one hand across her shoulders. You did nothing wrong. I almost believed her. That was the plan. She leaned against me for a long moment. Then my laptop chimed. A new email. From the transportation company. Subject. Safety incident updated. I opened it. One sentence stood out immediately. The account holder attempted to remove the safety hold approximately 10 minutes ago, but failed identity verification. Nicole knew, and now she knew someone had stopped her. The failed verification attempt changed the shape of the night. Until then, Nicole could still have told herself the ride was a misunderstanding, the speech was private, the photographs were harmless. But someone had placed the booking under review, and she had tried to force it through anyway. That mattered. I saved the transportation update, exported the email as a file, and copied the case number into my legal pad. Ava watched from the other side of the table, one sleeve pulled over her hand. Is she going to come here? My daughter asked. I don't know. Mom already did. Yes. Nicole might too. I closed the laptop and checked the deadbolt, then the back door. The porch camera showed an empty walkway shining beneath the street lamp. Wet pavement reflected the yellow light in broken pieces. If she comes, I said, we don't open the door. Ava nodded. If she calls? You don't answer tonight. What if she says it's an emergency? She can contact me, Mara, or the police. The word police made Ava sit straighter. Are we in danger? Not right now. That was the truth I could give her. No more. No less. My phone rang again. Mara's name appeared on the screen. This is Rachel, I answered. I reviewed Judith's photographs, Mara said. Papers shifted on her end. The email fragment is useful, but I need the original file if possible. Judith only photographed the screen. Then we preserve what we have. Do not ask her to access Nicole's account again. I won't. The transportation company update is stronger than it may look, Mara continued. Someone used your identity, attempted to arrange transport for a minor, and then tried to override a safety hold. Ava's fingers stopped moving against her sleeve. What happens next? I asked. Tonight, nothing dramatic. Tomorrow, I prepare a filing asking the court to restrict unsupervised contact and prevent Nicole from using Ava's image or statements in connection with the adoption matter. Can that happen before the wedding? Not before morning. My gaze moved toward the dark window. The wedding was less than 12 hours away. What can I do now? Keep Ava with you. Keep the doors locked. Preserve every contact. If anyone comes to the house and refuses to leave, call law enforcement. Mara paused. One more thing. Who knew your Saturday schedule? The question landed quietly. Mom knew I sometimes went to campus early when accreditation reports were due. Dad knew. Ava knew. Nicole should not have. My parents, I said. Anyone else? No. Then the timing of that ride did not come from guesswork. Ava looked down. I had not needed Mara to say it. Still, hearing the conclusion aloud stripped away the last soft excuse. Mom had not simply defended Nicole after the fact. Someone had supplied the hour when I was expected to be gone. After we ended the call, Ava stood and carried the empty soup bowls to the sink. I'm sorry, she said. For what? For not telling you sooner. The faucet ran. Water struck ceramic in a steady rush. You were trying to understand what she wanted, I said. I should have known. You're 14. That doesn't make me stupid. No, it makes you 14. She turned off the water. What if she tells everyone I chose her? She can say anything. What if they believe her? I looked toward the lockbox still sitting on the table. Belief changes, records don't. Ava followed my gaze. The sentence seemed to settle something inside her. Not everything. Enough for tonight. I sent her upstairs with instructions to charge her phone and leave her bedroom door open. Then I carried the lockbox into my office, where the files waited in clean rows. Guardianship, visitation, school, medical. For years, those labels had been a private form of insurance against family memory. Now they looked like the beginning of a case. A new message appeared from Judith. Nicole is asking where the ceremony folder went. Another followed. She knows someone opened it. I typed back carefully. Do not search anything else. Do not confront her alone. Preserve what you already have. The typing indicator appeared, vanished, then returned. Judith finally answered. Nathan is on his way to meet me. Before I could respond, a second notification appeared. This one came from Mom. You've gone too far. Nicole deserves a chance to be seen as Ava's mother. I read the sentence twice. Not to be Ava's mother. To be seen as one. My thumb hovered over the screen, but no reply came. A minute later, another message arrived. We only told her what time you usually leave on Saturdays because we thought Ava would cooperate. Way. The word was small. The damage inside it was not. Dad had known too. Then Mom sent one final line. Please do not make us explain this to everyone tomorrow. I saved every message. Upstairs, Ava's bedroom door clicked softly into place, then opened again, just as I had asked. My phone rang before I could set it down. Judith. Her voice came through in a whisper. Rachel, Nathan has seen the email. What did he say? He asked me one question. I waited. Judith drew a shaky breath. He wants to know why Nicole needed Ava on camera before the adoption hearing. Judith's question hung between us. He wants to know why Nicole needed Ava on camera before the adoption hearing. Ava stood in the upstairs hallway, one hand wrapped around the railing. She had heard every word. What did you tell him? I asked. I told him I didn't know, Judith replied. Then I showed him the message where Nicole said the reunion had to look genuine. A door closed near Judith. A man spoke somewhere beyond the phone, his voice too low for me to make out. Is Nathan with you now? I asked. Yes. Does Nicole know? Not yet. My fingers pressed into the edge of the desk. Judith, listen carefully. Don't give Nicole my address. Don't tell her Ava is still awake. Don't promise Nathan anything on my behalf. I understand. And send him copies only if he agrees not to post them or share them with wedding guests. He already said he won't. That answer came too quickly. Have him tell me himself. A pause followed. Then a different voice entered the call. This is Nathan Calloway, he said. His voice sounded controlled, but each word landed too firmly, as if control required effort. Rachel, I won't share anything involving Ava, Nathan continued. Not with guests, not online, not with anyone who doesn't need to know. Thank you. I need to ask you something. You can ask. Did Nicole ever tell you she wanted custody? Ava came down 2 steps, then stopped. No, I answered. She asked for private visits when it suited her. She never completed the reunification plan. Did you stop her from seeing Ava? No. I required her to follow the counselor's recommendations. Nathan breathed through his nose. Judith said nothing. Nicole told me you refused every request, Nathan said. I have 14 years of canceled visits, unanswered emails, and signed court records. The line went silent. Was she planning to announce this tomorrow? Nathan asked. She sent Ava a speech titled, The Daughter My Sister Stole. A rough sound came through the phone. A chair moving, perhaps. Maybe Nathan standing. I need to see that, he said. Ava received it directly. I'll send it through Judith after my attorney confirms the safest way. That's fair. New argument? No demand. That told me more than an apology would have. Nathan, I said, Ava is not part of a wedding dispute. She is a child who was told to hide a ride from her legal guardian. I understand. Do you? Ava watched me from the stairs. Nathan took a long breath. I understand enough to know the wedding cannot happen until I hear Nicole answer for this. Not canceled. Not yet. But no longer certain. After the call ended, I sent Mara the new messages from Mom, including the line about what time I usually left on Saturdays. Her response arrived almost immediately. Do not reply. I will add them to the filing. I walked upstairs and found Ava sitting on the top step. Is Nathan mad? She asked. I think he has questions. Will he still marry her? I don't know. Would you? The question surprised a laugh out of me. One small sound in a house that had held too much silence. No. Ava's mouth lifted for half a second, then flattened again. What happens tomorrow? You stay with me. What about the wedding? That is Nathan's decision. And Nicole? She is responsible for whatever follows. We slept badly. By 6 the next morning, pale light had begun to press through the kitchen blinds. Frost silvered the edges of the back steps. I made scrambled eggs while Ava sat at the table wearing thick socks and one of my old college sweatshirts. My phone remained beside the stove. At 6:30, Mom called. He let it ring. At 6:32, she called again. Then came a message. Bring Ava to the venue now. We can fix this before guests arrive. I turned the screen toward Ava. Her fork stopped halfway to her mouth. She still thinks I'm going? She hopes pressure will work. Another text appeared. Nathan is confused. Nicole needs Ava there to explain. Ava set down her fork. I'm not explaining anything. You don't have to. At 7:15, the time the car had been scheduled to arrive, I opened the porch camera. No vehicle waited outside. The safety hold had worked. Ava saw the empty curb and released a breath she had probably been holding all morning. At 8, Judith sent a message. I showed Nathan the full folder. He is speaking to Nicole now. Nothing followed. 8:15, 8:30. The clock above the stove sounded too loud between every minute. Ava tried to read but turned the same page 3 times. At 9:12, my phone rang. Judith. I answered. What happened? Her breathing was unsteady. Nathan asked her about the court order, Judith said. Then he asked why she needed cameras. And? She said you forced her to sign everything. I looked at the copy of Nicole's email on the table. She always says that after the signature matters. Judith lowered her voice. Nathan read her own message back to her. The one about Ava calling her mom in front of 200 people. A door opened on Judith's end. I have to go, she whispered. Nicole just came out. The call ended. An hour passed before another message arrived. This one came from Nathan. The wedding is canceled. Ava will not be used in this. I am sorry I believed what Nicole told me about you. Ava read it beside me. Neither of us celebrated. My daughter only leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. Then the doorbell camera chimed. A black car had stopped in front of the townhouse. Nicole stepped out wearing her wedding dress. I'll stop there. You don't have to hide anymore. Nicole's voice came through the doorbell speaker before I could answer. Rachel, open the door. The wedding dress looked nothing like the photographs she had proudly posted over the past 6 months. White satin clung to damp grass near the curb. One side of the skirt carried a gray streak where it had brushed against the parking strip. Her veil was gone. Loose strands of blonde hair stuck to tear-stained cheeks. She looked exhausted. She also looked dangerous. Not because I thought she would break the door, because desperate people often stopped caring where the truth ended. Ava stood beside me, frozen. Go upstairs, I said quietly. I don't want to leave you. I know. Please. For a moment, she didn't move. Then she nodded and climbed the stairs without another word. I waited until I heard her bedroom door close before switching on the microphone connected to the front camera. I'm not opening the door, Nicole. You already ruined everything. No. You turned Nathan against me. I never spoke to Nathan. A sharp laugh escaped her. You don't have to. You always collect people the way you collect paperwork. The sentence almost sounded familiar. Mom had said something similar years ago. Rachel always needs proof. Rachel always has a file. Rachel never lets anything go. Back then, those words had made me wonder whether I really was cold. Standing safely inside my own home while my sister demanded access to a child she had tried to manipulate, they sounded different. Prepared. Not cold. Nicole stepped closer to the camera. I just want to talk to Ava. No. You can't keep hiding her. I'm protecting her. You've been saying that for 14 years. I've been doing that for 14 years. She slapped one hand against the door. Not hard enough to damage it. Hard enough to make the glass vibrate. You stole my life. No. You stole my daughter. No. You made everyone believe I abandoned her. You signed the guardianship order. Nicole's face changed. Only for an instant. Then anger rushed back into the empty space. You forced me. I have your email. I was young. I know. I was scared. I know. You should have helped me. I did. You should have given her back. The silence after those words lasted longer than anything either of us had said. Finally, I answered. You never came back to take responsibility. Nicole's breathing grew heavier. You don't understand. Then explain. She looked over one shoulder toward the empty street before facing the camera again. I needed tomorrow. Why? I needed people to see us together. For what? So nobody could separate us again. I felt my pulse slow. Whenever Nicole believed she was winning, she talked too much. "What did you mean by that?" I asked. "You know exactly what I mean." "No. The adoption. There it was. Not grief. Not motherhood. The adoption. You found out. You think Mom wouldn't tell me?" Nicole snapped. "You were going to erase me." I was following Ava's wishes. "You filled her head with lies. I showed her your own emails. You had no right." I had every right to answer her questions honestly. Nicole looked past the camera again, searching the street as if expecting someone to rescue her. "No one came. You don't understand what Nathan's family would have thought if they knew." I didn't answer. "She did. They would have left." "So this was about Nathan?" "No." "So this was about appearances?" "No." "Then why did you need cameras?" Nicole opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Not a single word. The quiet told me more than any confession could have. She had rehearsed speeches. She had rehearsed tears. She had never rehearsed the truth. Her phone rang. She glanced at the screen. Ignored it. It rang again, almost immediately. This time she answered. "What?" Even through the closed door, I could hear a man's voice speaking rapidly. "Nathan." Nicole's face drained of color. "No," she whispered. Another pause. "You can't." More silence. Then her shoulders sagged. The call ended. She stared at the dark screen for several long seconds before looking back toward the camera. "It's over," she said. I didn't ask what she meant. I already knew. She took one slow step backward. Then another. Before turning away, she spoke so quietly I almost missed it. "Mom said once everyone saw Ava call me Mom, nobody could take her away from me." The words settled into the camera microphone with perfect clarity. I saved the recording before she reached her car. Less than a minute later, Mara called. "Rachel," my attorney said, "please tell me your doorbell camera was recording." "Every second." "Good." I looked through the window as Nicole drove away, without once looking back at the house where her daughter still lived. "I think," I said quietly, "she finally gave us the one statement she could never take back." Mara arrived before noon carrying 2 thick folders and a travel mug that had long since gone cold. She did not begin with legal strategy. She looked at Ava first. "How are you holding up?" Mara asked. "I'm tired," Ava answered. "That makes sense. No speeches, no promises, just honesty." Mara spread the documents across my dining table while sunlight finally pushed through the gray morning clouds. The same kitchen that had held fear the night before now held neatly labeled folders, printed emails, and one small flash drive containing the doorbell recording. "You did exactly what you needed to do," Mara said. "Nothing more. That was the goal. The recording matters. So do the messages." "Yes." She tapped the folder containing Nicole's voice notes. "So does this." Ava reached across the table and took my hand. "I don't want any more fighting," my daughter said quietly. "There will probably be more paperwork," Mara replied with a gentle smile. But fighting and paperwork are not the same thing. For the first time since Nicole's message arrived, Ava almost smiled. Over the following weeks, life settled into a slower rhythm. School, homework, my office, counseling appointments, conversations with Mara. None of it happened overnight. Nothing important ever did. Nicole's attorney eventually contacted Mara. The message surprised no one. Nicole would no longer oppose the adoption petition. There were conditions she wanted. Privacy. No public release of Ava's records. No unnecessary exposure. Mara read every page before sliding the proposal toward me. "What do you think?" she asked. "I think Ava deserves privacy." "She does." "I never wanted to destroy Nicole." "I know. I only wanted the truth to stop changing." Mara nodded once. Then we moved forward. Mom called several times during those weeks. Sometimes she left long messages about forgiveness. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she blamed me for losing the wedding. I saved every voicemail. I returned none. Dad sent only one letter. Inside was a short apology written in careful handwriting. He admitted he had known Mom shared my Saturday schedule. He admitted staying silent because keeping peace had always seemed easier than confronting Nicole. The envelope remained unopened after the first reading. Some words arrived too late. Months later, the courtroom looked nothing like television. No crowded gallery, no dramatic speeches. Only a quiet room, polished wood, and a judge who spoke gently. When everything had been reviewed, the judge looked at Ava. "Is this what you want?" "Yes, Your Honor," Ava answered. "No one pressured you?" "No." The judge smiled. "And why do you want this adoption?" Ava looked toward me. Not for permission, simply because she wanted me to hear her answer. She stayed. Only 2 words. Nothing rehearsed. Nothing decorated. Just the truth. My vision blurred. The judge signed the final order. Paper slid across the desk. A clerk stamped the last page. The sound echoed through the room far louder than it should have. Outside the courthouse, autumn leaves drifted across the sidewalk. Ava slipped her arm through mine. "So," she said with a nervous laugh, "does this mean I finally get to stop explaining everything?" "Yes. What if someone asks anyway?" I smiled. "You don't owe anyone your story." She leaned against my shoulder for a moment before we walked toward the parking lot. That evening, one final message appeared on my phone. "Nicole, you finally got what you wanted." I read it once. Then I typed my only reply. "No, Ava did." I blocked the number before another message could arrive. Back home, the lockbox still sat on the shelf inside the hall closet. For years, it had protected every promise someone tried to rewrite. I placed the adoption order inside, closed the lid, and turned the brass key. Not because I expected another fight, because truth deserves a safe place even after the battle ends. For 14 years, my family called my silence weakness. They never understood. While they were protecting a lie, I was quietly building a life they could never take away. If this story stays with you after today, I hope it is not because of the wedding that never happened. I hope it is because of one quiet truth that changed everything. Love is never proven by a performance. It is proven by showing up when nobody is watching, by keeping your promises when there are no cameras, and by choosing responsibility over appearances. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most will ask you to stay silent for the sake of family. They may tell you that protecting the truth is selfish, that setting healthy boundaries is cruel, or that saying no means you have stopped loving them. None of that is true. You can be kind without surrendering your dignity. You can forgive someone without trusting them again. You can protect a child, or even protect yourself, without feeling guilty for refusing to participate in someone else's deception. Real strength is often quiet. It looks like saving a message instead of starting an argument. It looks like keeping careful records when everyone else hopes you will forget. It looks like building a peaceful life one honest choice at a time until nobody can take it away from you. If you have ever been treated as though your calmness was weakness, remember this. Patience is not surrender. Boundaries are not punishment. Truth does not become less true, simply because more people believe a lie. Thank you for spending this time with me. Now I would love to hear from you. Have you ever been blamed for telling the truth or protecting your own peace? If you had been in Rachel's place, would you have made the same choices, or would you have handled everything differently? Share your thoughts and your own story in the comments, because someone reading your words today might realize they are not facing their struggle alone.